Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Akbar, and today I will show my summary about language learning, teaching, and acquisition. Language learning is language is a system of structure. Language is a linguistic system made up of various subsystems like system of sound, system of word, and system of grammar. And learning a language is to learn it in a structural fields, vocabulary and structural rules. Next is synthetic system, parse and sentence, and morphological or lexical system like morphemes and word. And phonological system is like phonemics. In functional views, language is a linguistic system as well as a means for doing things like learner learn language in order to do things with it, like use it, and learner learn language through using it, and instructional focus on the function and notions of language. And two things are needed for communication. First is rules of grammar form. We can say that grammar and vocabulary. And next is rules of language used in a context. Is it appropriate to use this language item in this context? And next is the common views on language learning. Is the process oriented? Theories are concerned with how the mind processes new information such as habit information, induction, making inference, hypothesis, testing, and generalization. And next is condition-oriented theories. Emphasize the nature of the human language learning takes place, such as the number of students, what kind of input learner receive, and the learning atmosphere. And next is in process oriented. We have behaviorism. Behaviorism represented by Pavlov and Skinner, and they said like behaviorist view of language. This is a view of language learning. All complex form, all behaviors can be learned by stimulus, response, and reinforcement. I'm sorry. And language is a form of behavior. Language can be learned as animals are trained to respond to stimuli. And in condition-oriented theories, we have cognitivism, constructivism, and social constructivism. Next is cognitivism. It's represented by Chomsky. Chomsky said that this is a cognitive view of language and learning. It's like influence, like a natural approach. If a language is learned by imitation and repetition, how can a child produce a sentence that has never been said by others before? Language is not a form of behavior. It isn't intricate, like complicated, like that. Rule-based system. Language is rule-governed, and there are infinite number of sentences can be produced. Like language is a generative. Influence a cognitive theory, and learners should be allowed to create their own sentence based on their understanding of certain rules, like creativity. Next is constructivism. Constructivism is represented by Piaget and Brunner and Dewey. Is constructivism view of learning, language and learning is like in Piaget views. Learning is a personal construction of knowledge to be learned based on the learner previous experience. And next we're gonna talk about social constructivism. It is represented by Vygotsky. It is a social construction, said interaction and engagement with the target language in a social context is important. And next is we're gonna talk about first language acquisition and the characteristic of children language. This is a characteristic of children language. The language development show a high degree of similarity among children all over the world. It's like predictability, learning through imitation, and creativity. And before first words, the earless vocalization involuntary crying, cawing, and gargling, showing satisfaction or happiness by the age of 4. Basic structure of the language a less frequent and more complex linguistic structure use the language in a widening social environment. And the next is we're going to talk about theoretical approach to L1 acquisition is like behaviorism, like say what I say, like initiatism is it's all in your mind, like interaction is and developmental perspective is learning from inside, and out language learning is the result. And the next is imitation, like word for word repetition. Next, practice, like repetitive manipulation of forms. And next is feedback on success, like positive and reinforcement and habit formation. And maybe that's my summary about language learning and teaching. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.